Hello YouTube! Today on the Naughty Librarian, I am going over some of my LGBTQ plus recommendations. Right now it's Pride in Los Angeles and I am super excited. I am kind of bummed that we can't have our parade this year, but it's still Pride Month, damn it, so I want to go over some LGBTQ plus reads that I definitely recommend. I'm gonna start things off with The Brilliant Death by Amy Rose Capetta. This one is Italian-inspired high fantasy. We're dealing with strega, which are witches, and it's also really interesting on the LGBTQ plus spectrum because these characters are gender fluid. They can shapeshift and be both genders. They could be male or female or maybe a combo. They basically don't have a definite attachment to one gender over the other. So these are really cool gender fluid characters. And it's more about loving the person over the casing the person is in. So it's falling in love with a person, not their body. And it's a really good book. It has a lot of really cool magic in it. It has transmutation magic. It's Italian inspired, and yeah, it's gender fluid characters. It's super fully fun and cool. I recommend it. Also, I have to recommend Red, White, and Royal Blue. I absolutely love this book, and it is an MM romance. It is basically like the first son of the United States of America and a Prince of Wales. And you know, it's a complicated relationship because they're both very definitely public figures, and these two boys kind of fall in love with each other, and it's also enemies to lovers. And I mean, I think it works best as an MM romance. It has like all of the fun romance tropes that I love. Like, it's a great enemies to lovers one. I love it so much. It's a great rom-com. You can tell I enjoyed it. Look at all the freaking tabs I put in this thing. But yes, it's adorable and hilarious, and I really enjoyed it. If you want like a light, fluffy cupcake of a book, I do recommend Her Royal Highness by Rachel Hawkins. This is a FFYA romance, and it's about a rebellious princess at a boarding school and a plucky American at a boarding school and their roommates, and is another enemies to lovers type of story. And I was really into their romance. It was really sweet and like fluffy. And it's like a rom-com of like rom-com-y proportions. Like if you're really into rom-coms and those type of tropes and humor, you're gonna get into this one. And this one is super fluffy. It's a fluffy YA romance, but it's FF, and I thought it was really adorable and I did enjoy it. Also on deck is Wilder Girls by Rory Power. This one was kind of YA horror, I would say, but it is also definitely LGBTQ+. It has an FF romance in it and lots of queer characters, and this one, it's kind of body horror, I would say. There's this remote island boarding school thing, and these girls keep getting exposed to this like toxin, and it makes their bodies like morph and like be grotesque and stuff, and it changes them. Like one girl like her hand is made of metal now, and like some people have like flowers growing out of their face. It's really weird body horror stuff. And like, I thought parts of this book could have been written better, but the horror aspects of it are definitely done very well. And it also managed to have a compelling FF love story in it. So I do recommend, especially if you like horror stories, I think you'd get into this one. I also want to recommend A River of Royal Blood by Amanda Joy. This one isn't particularly a queer romance, but it does have a lot of queer characters in it. And the thing I liked about it in particular is that this is a fantasy world where racism and homophobia just don't exist. They just don't exist in this world. They have other problems to deal with. And it was kind of really refreshing just to see characters be casually queer and it not be a big deal. Because, you know, sometimes boys kiss boys and girls kiss girls and no one gives a shit. And like, that's awesome. Like, frankly, just seeing a world where homophobia doesn't exist is incredibly refreshing. And also it's a really fun fantasy story. It's these two sisters, and in this world only one sister can be queen, and in order to figure out who's gonna be queen, they have to fight to the death. So it's a rough fantasy world, and it has lots of magical elements to it and casually queer characters. So I thought it was really fun. I also want to recommend War Girls by Tochi Onyebuchi, and there is a FF love story in this. However, it's not the main focus of the story. This is kind of a sci-fi post-apocalyptic reimagining of the Biafran War, which is real history, real historical event, so it is based in Nigeria. And it's a really, really fascinating way to retell a real historical event because they took the Biafran War and basically turned it into cyborgs and mechs and sci-fi retelling of it. And it does a lot of really good things with like morally gray characters because there's no clear good guy and bad guy. Both sides of this war are committing atrocities, so it's really interesting just from like a moral standpoint. And also there is, you know, an FF love story to go along with it on top. So I do recommend, I think it's really, really good. And it's definitely really well written. I do appreciate this a lot, and I think more people should read this. It's really good. I also have to recommend Gideon the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir because it's just great. The simplest way to describe this book is to say it's lesbian necromancers in space, which already sounds amazing. And then you read it and it's so funny and action-packed and really like an interesting magic system. And Gideon, we're following her in particular. She is a paladin, so she's like a like bodyguard type of situation for Harrow. And they both come from this ninth world, and they are necromancers, and Gideon is a lady who very much likes other ladies, and I definitely really enjoy her quite a bit. She's hilarious. And then you have Harrow, and some people have said there's supposed to be a romance between Gideon and Harrow, and honestly I didn't see it in this. I just kind of felt that they were forming a friendship. So I don't know, some people see a romance. I didn't particularly see a romance. I saw a friendship growing, but it's definitely queer characters. And you know what? Queer characters can be friends without falling in love with each other. So I liked it. I thought it was really good. I mean, lesbian necromancers in space. What more do you want? I also recommend Felix Ever After by Kacen Callender. Now, this one is the only book on this list that I have not currently completed reading, but I am predicting that I'm really going to enjoy this. And also I think it's important to promote because it actually has a trans main character. This is a trans male teen trying to navigate life and love and their past in a world that's maybe not always as accepting as it should be. And I think these stories are important to be told, and I don't see a ton of books that have a trans character right on the cover of it. So that's kind of really bold and important too. So I definitely recommend it, especially if you want a book featuring a trans character. I think this one would be really good for you. Last book I'm going to be recommending is The Midnight Lie by Marie Rutkoski. And I love this story. I just like Marie Rutkoski's writing style in general. And this one is really good. It is an FF romance, and it is a masculine presenting female character and a other female character, and it has magic and revolution, and it has a cliffhanger of all cliffhanger endings. Like, it's such a cliffhanger, but it was really good, and it deals with a lot of magic. And I definitely really loved Sid, who is basically a female rake with a heart of gold. And I wanted to see a female rake with a heart of gold so much. So definitely a great FF story. I was really into it. Alright, so those were just a few recommendations for LGBTQ plus reads, and I am super excited for them. Happy Pride to everybody. It's really important to read diversely and read books from a different perspective and have different types of romance in it, or just different types of people. I think it's really important to do that because step one of understanding another person is just listening to their story. So I recommend reading these ones. I am super pumped about them. So let me know in the comments down below what's another LGBTQ plus recommendation that you have that you think is really excellent, or I don't know, happy Pride. Say something about Pride. I don't know. Comments are open for interpretation. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like, and if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye!